What constitutes a mandate at the next election to go to Keir Starmer and say, right, Indy Ref 2, please, now? Is it just an SNP win? Is it a pro-independence majority? What?
I think the most important thing I can say to you today, Martin, is to acknowledge that there's a long way to go to the election. And I want to make sure the SNP is in a winning position at the next election, because I think Scotland does well when the SNP does well. History tells you all of that. So I want to make sure that we put the arguments to people in Scotland, that we win the largest amount of electoral support we possibly can do, because what history tells us is that Scotland only does well when the SNP does well, and that will be what I invite people to support and to vote for at the election in May of 2026.
Conversely, polling seems to tell us that the SNP does well when you don't talk very much about independence. OK, you're not going to be drawn on what's a mandate. How do you deliver it? Your successors have been given what they've described as thumping mandates in the past. They've gone to Prime Ministers and to Westminster and said, right, we need another referendum, and they've been told to disappear. What makes you think that you can deliver this time round where your predecessors have failed?
Well, what I want to do, Martin, is to bring Scotland together, because Scotland is currently stuck, essentially, because there's an aspiration in Scotland for us to have independence, but and there's a very strong body of opinion that wants independence, but we have not got the means to achieve that because of the stance that's been taken by the United Kingdom government. And what I want to make sure is that I bring people together sufficiently so there's a compelling voice for independence in Scotland, a compelling and demonstrable demonstration of support for independence.
Well, what does that mean?
And that's
60% in the polls? What is a compelling and demonstrable display of support?
Well, if you look at the run-up to the 1997 election in Scotland, when there was demonstrable, clear consensus of opinion that Scotland should have its own parliament within the United Kingdom. And what I want to make sure is that I lead the debate in Scotland in a way that brings people together to reach that conclusion that independence represents the best way forward for Scotland, and that we should have the right to choose that. Now, that's about political support. It's about creating the conditions that will deliver that type of impetus in the political debate in Scotland, because it is completely unacceptable for the democratic aspirations of a very large number of people in Scotland to be thwarted by a Westminster government that just folds its arms and says no. That's unacceptable. It was unacceptable before 1997, and it's unacceptable now.